And now back to Match Play with your host, Ray Adams.
Welcome back with Mike Bolland, and we are now at the most beautiful golf course that I have been at in a very long time, and all golf courses are beautiful to me, you know that by now. We're at Troon North in Scottsdale, one of the most famous golf courses in the entire world, immaculate, and we thank them for hosting us today out here with Mike Bolland. We're going to hit some balls in a little bit, but Mike and I are just going to chat a little bit about, well, you, Mike. You know, when I talk about meeting people that are inspiring and they encourage you, and when you're around them, they make you feel good. I'm talking about you, Mike, because you, when we met, inspired me. You encouraged me, and you're one of these guys that can make you laugh, but also make you think. And there's a healing about that, about you. And I want to talk a little bit about where all this came from inside of you. So from being a child actor, Mike, you moved on through school, of course, and played a lot of different sports. How did your parents encourage you, and how did you approach being able to play all these different sports so well?
You know, my parents were always very encouraging. They never said, don't try out for this sport, don't try out for that sport. And when I look at things, I don't look and see, hey, how does a two-handed person do this, and then try to back it into me as a one-handed person. I just start with, this is the way I think as an example, hold a golf club. This is the way I think I need to do it.
So it's not can you do something, it's how are you going to do it?
Absolutely. I never think I can't do it, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. And you said you wore a prosthetic in your younger years, but you don't anymore. What was the reason that you decided not to?
Yeah, you know, I don't know if it was necessarily a conscious decision. It was just one of those things that, for me personally, I feel like I get along better in my life without a prosthetic. I know they're extremely important to a lot of people, and they're definitely needed, that's for sure. And
I'm sure we have some people watching now that have family, friends, or themselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a personal choice. Okay, so tell me some of the sports you played.
Well, basketball, and I still play basketball. I love basketball, tennis. I did a little bowling back in the day, if you don't mind me saying.
Well, you did do some bowling, and Mike became a professional bowler on tour. Tell me how all that started.
I had a friend of mine that asked me to join a bowling league in 8th grade. So I was 13 years old, kind of started a little later in life to take it to where I was able to take it. But I just came addicted to it. You know, it's one of those things that if you have a passion for something, practice isn't practice. My mom would drop me off at the bowling alley, and I'd bowl 50 games a day. I mean, it was just trying to get better, trying to get better. And again, you know, I was able to get to that level. My highest finish on the PBA tour, a regional event, was second. I did cash on the national tour. And it's just neat to think about, thinking that I was the first one-handed bowler, professional bowler. It's an honor. Yeah, it's an honor.
Were you really?
Yeah.
Continuing to talk about something that, well, it was a very dark time for you, Mike. I know that I had skin cancer, just a little tiny little bit on my leg, and it was a small C for me. They were able to go in and clear it up immediately. But any kind of cancer is serious, but you had a big C cancer. Tell me how you found out about it and how it changed your life.
Yeah, I was just driving with my wife and had an itch on my neck, scratched it, and felt a lump. And it was at that time where pretty much everything started. You know, my wife said, you better go get that checked out. About a week later, I had forgotten. I turned my head, felt it again. It was time to get it checked out. And as it turns out, it ended up being throat cancer. I'm not a smoker. It's just one of those things, unfortunately, that happened that I had to battle through.
And this was life-threatening.
Yeah, it's one of those, if you don't get it treated and, you know, certainly quick, it could have been other famous people have passed away from it, unfortunately.
Yeah. Tell me, how did it change your life? What resources did you use to shine a light in those dark times?
Yeah, I remember the night that I found out that I had cancer, and it just so happened my daughter was down from college and told the family. You know, it's a dark time, obviously. It's one of the worst days of my life, let's put it that way. It's easy to think that way. After the emotion of that, my wife and I just said, you know what, I feel like having a glass of wine or three at the end of the night. So we went to this establishment. We went to a local restaurant. We sat at the bar, and I'll never forget this as long as I live. Sitting at the bar, and as I am, as a one-handed person, I get it. You know, people will look at me and know or, you know, assume hey, I know what's wrong with him. He has one hand, and that's fine. I like having one hand, so it's not necessarily a bad thing for me. But that's kind of the assumption. But it was the first time in my life that I was sitting somewhere, and as people were looking at me, they didn't really know what was wrong with me.
Yeah.
I was sitting there with cancer, and it really struck me. I turned around and I looked at all the other people in the restaurant, and I thought to myself, you know what? There's countless other stories in this restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I may look at somebody and just think, hey, here's whatever I think.
Yeah.
We all have our stories.
We never really know when we're in a crowd of people what all they're going through, what dark times they're having.
Yes.
But you were inspired and you were motivated by your family, your friends, and you were able to shine a light in that dark time. Tell us about that.
Well, when you go through those times and you're not sure how you're going to come out on the other end, you start thinking of bucket lists and things you want to do in your life. There's a couple things that I wanted to do. One I have yet to do. I'd like to hit another pro bowling stop. I haven't done that yet, and it's still on the list. Who knows how well I do? It's been a few years. But I wanted to try comedy. And it's
comedy.
Yes, I always wanted to try comedy, and very fortunate over the last few years. I've been trying it and having a good time with it.
So one of your dreams in life was to be a stand-up comedian, and it took cancer,
Yes.
and then being cured from cancer, coming out of it, to start writing your comedy, and then starting to stand up and perform it in front of people. And now, years later, you are a practicing professional, paid professional entertainer.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. And the fun part about it is I talk a lot, mostly about having one hand, and it's self-deprecating. These are the things that I've been doing my whole life, and I enjoy it. Like I said, I like having one hand. Is this thing on? Is this on?
He's funny.
Yeah, I have a good time with it. I love it. It's one of those things that, again, hopefully I've been doing it my whole life, and it's just something that brings us together, I really think.
When we come back with Mike, we're going to be hitting some golf balls, but we're also going to be talking about a new foundation that Mike has started that's going to help a lot of people. Make sure you stay right there, and we'll be right back.
We'll be back with more match play right after these messages.